Okay, welcome back to Space Engineers, everybody. This is O-Man, and today we're going to put another layer of armor on to our ship. Let's cover up this unsightly mess here. In an actual military ship, this stuff might actually not be covered at all, but we are hiding it within a second layer of armor. So we might as well do that. Yeah. We'll just put the armor here. And a layer here. Just flesh this thing out. What we did last time was kind of finishing up the skeleton. This is putting flesh, putting the muscle on it. As you want that second layer of armor, because when the enemies get through it, they'll still have the other set to worry about. Of course, if they hit you on this side, then that's where all the conveyors are. You're gonna be real sore. But this is just a play mode. This is just a play mode ship. We're not actually gonna take it into battle. Here we go there. And I know, I did make some mistakes on the last time with putting that connector so close to the ship. But we can fix that. There we go. Now we just gotta put another connector on. There we go. And then two of those. There we go. And we just connect this. Yeah, I know. I've been using heavy armor and just kind of putting it all together. But I'm gonna show you the proper way to do it back here. You should, at least on the externals, use light armor. Let the light armor. The outer hull is the larger part, larger surface area to cover, the most weight. You should definitely, we should probably use straight up heavy armor for the inner plate, just to make things harder on your enemies. But you should be using light armor to fill in the areas on the outer plate, and use that as sort of a buying time distraction thing to keep the enemies from getting at you so quickly. Because if you go full heavy armor like it looked like I was doing, you're just gonna wind up with a really slow ship. Which, if it's a mighty glacier, it's fine. But ours isn't. I know. Ours is actually I can't say it's gonna be fast. It's more of a gun platform than anything. But we still need it. Actually, I just realized that I filled in the inner hole with, but that's okay, because I taught you something anyway. So 2. But try to use heavy armor for your skeleton, and light armor for filling stuff in. Now this is a cornerstone, to my design at least, of gap armor. It's a literal cornerstone. It's a cube. I like it. It looks like knotwork. And then you just set up all of that on the four corners. I know, I should be jutting it out in here and protecting the airlock more. But well, you'll get some idea of this way. Like that. And then you can use the light armor to fill in the gaps. Except that should actually be this way. It should actually be settled in because we already did kind of the gap armor. In fact, we already did the gap armor on that whole thing. It's strictly the top and bottom that we didn't gap out yet. Yeah, I know. I could edit parts like this out, but I mean, I'm showing my design process. It's not the best in the world, but it's a bit of me. Yeah, I totally went at this like backwards. But I was so excited to show you guys everything. So there's that, and then you switch over to light armor, and you just do like this. You fill it in, and I'll do the same on the bottom. And the reason for this, all this, so we can place a gun turret on the top. And it's not going to be a mono piece. It's not going to be like, show you what I mean. Not character weapons, block weapons. Like, this is what the game calls turret. I mean, it's not bad. It's a single gun turret. It can definitely do its job. But, I mean, it takes up 3 blocks in order to do that job. And you only get 1 bullet and 1 weapon out of it. So, of course, I mean, there we go. 3 guns on that one side. This is what you can fit in those turrets. And that's, yeah, and it needs a space to you know, turn around. And that's just not necessarily that space efficient. I mean, so what I want to do is see if maybe I can deck out the top of this thing with a whole freaking mess of, say, Gatling guns or rocket launchers with a custom setup. That's the ultimate goal here. I've only got, in this one session, 37 minutes left in recording time. And this is the only session I'm doing tonight, so as of the time you watch this, I probably won't have finished recording actually building that. But I'm working towards it. And see, this is the gun platform right here. And the reason for the connector and all the production blocks inside is because the design we're going to be using isn't going to be reloadable from inside. With those little mini turrets, they do have the advantage you could hook them up into your conveyor system and they would feed and you would get ammo fed straight through from your supplies. But you can't do that with the design I'm going to play with today. I'm going to play with, yeah, actually, because I don't need to fill in anymore. I can just show off this. So, of course, it's going to be an experimental vid. I haven't actually tried this idea out yet, but I think it should work. Let's see. Okay. Rotor block, that's it. Okay, advanced rotors enable connected grids to rotate with the ability to transfer items between the grids. That would be nice, except the way we're going to do this is kind of going to negate that, because we're going to use at least a double rotor system to do this. Because if you really want a full-fledged turret, you need to be able to move. We don't need an advanced rotor. We've already... Because for a real turret, you need to be able to move up, down, left, and right. And these rotor blocks are only going to be able to move up and down or left and right. So first, let's find the center of this. Let's figure out how many blocks wide this thing is. 9. Okay, so we'll need to be about 5 blocks in. That's on that side. Let's see if it's the same on this side. Yeah, it's a 9x9. So we want to be... Hold up. There we go. There, and that gets that off there. So we want to be 5 blocks in on any one side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. 1, 2, 4, 5 there. So that's our center point. And that's where I want this rotor to be. Okay. I'm actually going to erase that block and put in the rotor right there. Rotors definitely look different from what they used to. They used to have a completely flat plate on top of what was effectively a armor block with a little dial on it. They've definitely changed. See, I get the feeling that this thing isn't going to move, going to turn quite so fast once I'm done loading it down. But let's see. We'll figure it out. Okay, so that's the left and right turning, the horizontal turn. But we also want, for what we're doing, vertical turn. I'm thinking of a 5x5 grid. So we're going to want this. I'm going to make this a 7x7. Or I should say, it's going to be a 9x9. And then we're going to want other rotors, probably about halfway up. So there's 1 block for movement. So we're going to want this to be about 5x5. 5 up. Wait a second. About that should be where we want to go. It's going to be down 1, 2, 3. Empty space for a little bit of movement. There we go. Yeah, that's where we want it to be. There's that. And then okay. Might be a little narrow. But as you can see, it's that. Oof. Yeah, it's going to be a little narrow. I'm not sure if that's fixable. So let's say that, and then move this. And then we throw a rotor block here instead. Nope. Yeah, they don't quite match up. Hold on. Of course, I wanted it secured from both sides, but let's see. I'm betting that it still won't match up. Nope. It's not quite that one block. Okay. So, now we know that. But you can see I was trying for a plate there that we can mount our guns on. So, we'll fix this. Don't suppose I could take that front plate off. Yeah, I could, but it wouldn't connect. Yeah. So either way, in that case we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got our 5. And we'll do this. And then we'll get ourselves another 5x5 plate. Okay, now in the center, in that, we'll knock out the center block. Okay, I was wrong. We are going to need more connectors. Okay, first off, let's mount. And I'm very glad that I checked the conveyor junction stuff, because we can mount those next to each other. And then, with any luck, we can mount Gatling guns on them. I should say, we will be able to mount Gatling guns. What we won't necessarily be able to do... Oh, I forgot. No, because Gatling guns are strictly small ship. I forgot about that. You can only have these on fighter ships. I don't think there's any way Gatling turrets can be mounted on here. So, I guess, instead of Gatlings, we'll be doing this with the good old-fashioned rockets. There we go. And as far as I know, it doesn't matter which way the doors open. So... as long as the doors are up against each other, you're good. Okay, and we left that middle one open for a connector. So just to be sure. We'll put the connector, we'll mount the connector on the outside. Hold up. Just to be sure that it's easily accessible. You kind of have to scoot around a bit to keep my cat from jumping into my lap on top of the keyboard. So, there we go. So that's the basic idea of the turret. Now, right, that middle one, actually, if I can get it to work right, it's going to be a camera instead of a gun. Just so I can, because, you know, you'll notice there's no mounting for a person outside this thing. Yeah, I can put a camera there. So it'll be a gun sight instead of a gun. As far as I know, that's right side up. The light is. Guess the easy way to figure it out is to repaint one of the rocket launchers and see if the mark holds, because the camera should show in color. So if I were to knock that out and replace it, then I should be good. And then let's go down and show up how to. I know it doesn't look fancy. It's not going to. Another hallmark of good engineering. Your fancy designs usually are usually impractical. It's the designs that are ugly but work that kind of win. So let's see what we can do. There we go. Now, let's see. Not inventory. There we go. Let's put our camera, view through it. Okay. There's no light there anyway. So I forgot. I have to do something about that. Yeah, no, I'm letting all the air out. But it's fine. It's creative mode. So what we'll do instead of that, so we'll get some lights, get a light going. It can be an interior light, it just needs to show. And that should actually be able to mark it just as well as that red. And it is red. The light's not red, but the housing is. There we go. Yes, we are set up upright. So yeah, I figured that long bar would be the right one. Would be the marker. It used to be the word camera. Okay, and just to fix that, let's get all this closed up. Because actually, if I did everything right, if my idea isn't total bonkers, then I shouldn't need to go outside for much during the rest of this episode. Well, okay, I will for setting up targets, because you're not going to set up a rocket launcher turret 24 round salute without having some targets to shoot. First, let's make sure this thing actually works. So, let's see, block weapons. Right. First, K, because if you want things to work, sometimes you gotta set up. Somehow or other, all those rocket launchers count as outside, as only connect. That's interesting. Cool. Didn't know that. See, I'm learning as much as you are. Should be. And there should only be 25, but obviously some got taken out, some got added in. But anyway, block group, 24 gun salute. Save. Now that we've got that group, when we go to G, we have the group subheading, 24 gun salute, shoot once. This is rockets. They're fairly expensive in survival mode. Let's not waste ammo. Okay, so there's that. All blocks. There's this. We're going to want more than one. One's going to be... Huh. I have no idea if I could do that. Some of these are... Anyway. Toggle block on. Or wait. Let's toggle it on and off. Let's also set one to reverse. Okay. Toggle block on and off. Reverse. Okay. Now that that's set, let's see what we can do here. Okay, maybe that might not be what we want to do with those. On and off might not be the right one. On, yes. So, probably increase velocity. And that one will be increased velocity. Yep, right now they're at 0 RPMs. So there we go. And we can reverse. And that's the head for that. Of course, we might want to, you know... Oh, there we go. Of course. Maybe we want to play with this a little bit more. Okay? Okay. So maybe instead do that. We'll decrease velocity. We'll go with it. Well, now we know that works, and we don't need to double up on rotor blocks. I was worried I'd have to. Okay, and then is that? And obviously, we can reverse it. And that'll let us go. Now, the one, and this is nice. I didn't realize that I could go like 360 now. That's good. I think in the old days it would stop at a certain point. And see, hey, the light's kind of shining like a disco ball. And let's see. So that's one. Let's stop that. Oh, I see. So I wouldn't even necessarily need to use the... I wouldn't necessarily need to use the reverse on there. That's cool. So let's go ahead and set this up so the second one can be used. And that's the one I'm really worried about, because that's where we actually start running into our smacking into the stuff that's holding us together if we're not careful. So let's go ahead and let it increase velocity a little bit. And then let's decrease velocity. And then let's just play with reverse. And then I think manually I'm going to have to figure out how to set up the max and min in those rotors. Rotor 4 is the one I want to deal with. Here we go. Lower limit, upper limit, unlimited. That's not going to fly. But I need to go up top for a bit and figure out. See, I do need to go up top. Whoa. See? Without the light, that's still some nice shiny blue. At some point, I might add interior lights into that. This one, there's also some nice shiny blue, but not nearly enough. There's this. Okay, so that's where we landed. Anyway, I don't know how far down this thing needs to go. Well, there's an answer to that. It's one I'm fine with. Let's go ahead and just watch this big boy do its thing. Okay. G. This is the one we want. Rotor 4. I really don't like that the minimum velocity you can set is in increments of 3. That just feels a little bit fast for what I'm about to do. But let's see. I'll actually have it toggle the block on and off. And I'll reverse. Because I'm just doing this to figure out the lower and upper limits on it before I do anything else. And of course I understand that I need to add thrusters and stuff onto this thing before I actually fire this weapon, as well as gyroscopes. So yeah, let's see here. Let's watch this bad boy. Or girl, if you prefer. Huh! That's funny. I'm getting excited about this, and we're not even actually getting to the firing it part yet. Okay. So once it swings down that far. Okay. That is slightly too far. I mean, I can live with it hitting that as long as it doesn't do it too hard. But if I can figure out where it's sitting, okay. Looks like 315 is... Huh. Trying to figure it out. So I know at flat, it resets, it rests at 0. At least that's how it should be. Yeah, because when it's resting at 0. So 315, which would be at 60, negative 45. So if we set the minimum angle at, of course, there's also a slight problem with that. If you can see, if I were to fire it, that's say negative 40 degrees. You might get some problems. See, right now, I am directly in the firing line. This thing might just barely. No. It would definitely smack into the edge. Maybe if I were to push it up to 340, negative 40. Okay, rotor 4. And let's see, lower limit should be negative 40, I think. Okay, current angle is 324, which is about 36, actually. So what I need to do, negative 30, should cover that. The upper limit, I don't know what the upper limit should be until we reverse this thing and find out. Okay. Now, actually, I can look at this. I can do this without even leaving this chair. Current angle is 324. Which, of course, direct opposites. I should have not even needed to do that. But okay, so that's negative. Then the upper limit should ideally be at least 320? Oh wait, no. Current angle is 216. There we go. Now we know. That makes more sense. So ideally, at most, it should go to 210. There we go. Nah. 200, 201, somewhere in that ballpark. Seems about right. There we go. Now, full reverse. Also, increase velocity. Decrease velocity. There we go. Now let's see what this does. It should just stop. It did! It stopped. It's not actually hitting anything. You can see there's a little empty space right there. Now, let's go ahead. Decrease the velocity. See what it does. If I'm right, I set it correctly, so it shouldn't actually smack into anything. There's no sparks. Let's go find out. Huh. Yeah, you can see. There's a little bit of... it's going to take a little fine-tuning because, like I said, if I'm right here, you can definitely see I would be shooting myself. And I'm pretty sure that camera isn't actually, that camera is not going to take that into account. So I do need to fiddle with this thing a little bit. But for now, I think you get my point. So that's definitely how we build a turret. We just need to do some fine-tuning. And of course, the bigger your ship and the farther into the ship the turret is, the more fine-tuning you have to do to get it to not shoot the top off your boat, off your ship. Unless you want a sunroof, but I think there's safer ways to build one than shooting yourself in the head. But hey, wave to the camera. I mean, if I want to shrink this down to like a 20 gun salute, I could replace the middle out here, down there, and up there with cameras as well. Which, of course, they'd be out and exposed, and anybody coming in from the side can just smack into them. But I am bummed that I forgot that I couldn't do this with Gatling guns, as I definitely wanted to. I can on a small ship, but if it's a small ship and it's more of a fighter, in which case those, I mean, you can slap down a bunch of static Gatling guns on it anyway. And I'm not sure if you can even put a rotor on a small ship. Well, that's a question for another day. I've got less than 4.5 minutes to go on this session. So, this is O-Man signing off. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you next time as always.